All right, welcome everybody to the Monday, November 6th, 2017 meeting of Kubernetes SIG Service Catalog. The first thing on our agenda for today is retrospective on the process of getting to 0.1.0. And Aaron, I think you're going to objectively facilitate that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you had like a Trello board you were going to use for that, right?
Yep, the link for that is in the agenda, and I'll post it into our chat as well. So that's a public board. I tested it out on a few people so they can see it, and hopefully everybody else can see it. Let me know if you cannot get to that link. Okay. Sounds like everybody is good. So, Paul, should we start that now, or did you have anything else? Cool. All right.
Let's go ahead and start.
So this one is fairly simple. It's probably familiar if you've done retros before. We're going to take 5 minutes to focus on the what went well column. Put in up to 3 cards per person. You can create a card by clicking the add new card link there. Once everyone has created their cards and the 5 minutes are up, then we're going to go in and vote on them so that we can order them. Once we're done with the voting, then we'll move on to the same thing for the what could have been better column. So I will not be adding cards or voting, just as an FYI. But I would like to start the card creation process now. So,
Aaron, where is the create new card button?
Under what went well, you'll see add a card.
Okay, I don't see that. I see what went well, but I don't see add a card.
Does anybody else not see add a card?
I also do not see add a card.
Do we have to be logged in or something, or?
I am so logged in and logged on to Trello.
Okay, I don't know what this is. I've never seen this before, so.
Well, maybe I messed it up. Let's do this. Let us do it on a Google Doc instead. Apologies for this.
Where's that CF thing we used at one time?
It is being decommissioned.
Oh, darn. Never mind.
It was too useful, therefore we must get rid of it.
Yeah.
Can we run an instance on whatever we're calling our cloud now?
Go ahead. All right. Here is a link, and I am going to put the link in the chat. I'll also update the document. This is a plain old Google spreadsheet that everyone should have edit rights on. Again, please let me know if you don't.
I see a spreadsheet.
So same thing, write down up to 3 items per person under what went well. Let me know if you have any issues, but let's start this now, and we'll go till 13 minutes after the hour. So go ahead.
Aaron, what do you think about making another sheet in this thing for what could have been better?
Sure.
Okay, I will do that.
All right, so folks, sorry for the mess ups with Trello, but we're going to do this on the spreadsheet. So go ahead and start creating rows. I only see one so far. I see some people join the spreadsheet a little late, so we're going to give it about 3 or maybe 4 more minutes. We're just going to give it 1 more minute. If you've got anything last minute, I see some trickling in. So hurry it up.
While we're waiting, got a Google Doc question. If you're logged in and Google knows that you're logged in because it has your email address in the top right-hand corner, how come you're still an anonymous animal? Does anybody know that?
It's based on the style of doc.
Style of doc, you mean like spreadsheet versus like Word doc? Or what do you mean by style?
No, I think it has to do with like the sharing options that the author created.
Ah, interesting. Okay, thank you.
All right, we're at 14 after the hour. It's about 6 minutes we've done under the what went well. So I'd like to go through these, give the author of them a chance to explain any further if they want to. So starting with face-to-faces were awesome. Whoever wrote that, do you need to or want to explain anything more in that column? Excuse me.
Yeah, so that was me. Just to add to it a little, obviously I thought they went really well. I love the face-to-face we've had because everyone we've had, I think, has always been really productive. Walked out of there feeling like we accomplished a lot, and I hope that we can do more in the future. But I just thought they were great.
Cool. Moving on. Predefined agenda before each meeting to help focus our discussions. Whoever wrote that, anything more you want to say about it?
Nothing other than I think since we started doing that, our meetings have been much more concise and to the point, and I really appreciate everybody jumping on board and doing that.
Alrighty. Design meetings help to establish consensus on complex topics. Whoever wrote that, anything more?
Yeah, that was me. I do think that it was effective to have the design meetings. I entered this one as opposed to number 5 because I don't think that they were efficient, but they were effective. So I do think that they worked very well at what they were, but I not necessarily say that they were an efficient way to do it. I think they were necessary. I'm not sure if this sounds like a criticism of them instead of an endorsement. I guess to tease it apart, just to make sure that everybody knows what's in my head, is like on a one-by-one basis, they were very effective and even efficient. I think that having as many of them as we did was not necessarily efficient, but for things that need a group analysis, I do think that they were effective and that we ran them in the right way.
All right, cool. Good to clarify that. Thanks, Paul. Row number 5, design discussions on a daily basis were quite efficient. Anyone want to explain that, whoever wrote it?
Yeah, I thought that the meetings themselves were well ran. I think it was, I think we were able to go and come into the meetings with enough prep work to know what the heck we were talking about, and then being able to go and just blast through them. I'm not necessarily saying that we always were able to go ahead and get the design discussions resolved, but on a daily basis. That's not what I mean, but I mean the way we ran the meetings were very efficient.
All right, cool. Row number 6, our pace started to get hard to keep up with at the end. Parentheses, this is a good thing. Any clarifications there?
Yeah, so like at one point earlier in the project, there were times when the merge velocity was like fairly low, and we eventually got to the point where I could not keep up reviewing every single issue and pull request every single day, just due to the amount of stuff that we were putting in. And if you look at like the last several O.X releases, they started getting really big, like 20 pulls in them, and we started doing them like every 3 or 4 days sometimes. So the velocity really increased as we got closer to beta, and we had a lot more people actively contributing, and I think that is a very good thing.
Alrighty. Next one, row 7, getting user feedback was good. Any clarifications there? Going once. Alrighty.
Yeah, no. Sorry,
All right.
I was looking for the unmute button. I think it was really good to go ahead and start getting user feedback because some of the design discussions, like for example the naming, I think it was good to go and get some feedback from that saying that's a terrible idea. So we were able to go ahead and get some users to go and say what is good and what isn't good, and then it's hard sometimes when you're just designing things in vacuum. So getting user feedback was very helpful.
Alrighty. Moving on to number 8, weekly/daily calls were effective/productive. Any clarifications there?
This is Jay. I just thought the meetings were really good. A lot's already been said, but being new to the team was also a good way to get on board and feel welcomed and able to participate. So just thumbs up, I guess.
Cool. All right. Row 9, meeting history on YouTube was easy to dive in on past meetings to help ramp up. Pretty explanatory. Any clarifications there?
No.
All righty. Row 10, code reviews happen on a reasonable timeline. Clarifications? Going once. Seems pretty explanatory. All right. Row 11, face-to-faces were helpful for getting over the hump on complex design topics. Clarifications there?
Yeah, I agree that the face-to-faces were really good, but I wanted to put a fine point on one thing that I thought was particularly helpful. So like the face-to-face that we last had in Seattle, coincident with Open Service Broker API Working Group, was like really super productive for kind of getting working through the generalities of a couple different entangled design issues. And even though we had to then go back after that and do detailed design on them, I think it was really good to get on the same page about what we expected the generalities of those things to be. So that to me was like about as much about as much consensus building as if we had done probably 3 or 4 months of like the 1 hour meetings once a day. So that's considerably more efficient.
Alrighty. Row 12, despite everyone being remote, overall team camaraderie was strong. Clarifications there? All right, seems pretty explanatory. Moving on to row 13, meeting secretary role was very useful. Clarifications on that?
Yeah, so I did that one, and you might, if you're counting, you've realized that I put more cards or more things on this list than I was supposed to, but history will vindicate me because I felt more things than I could limit myself to 3. So I was referring to that like when Aaron started doing like the I called it the secretary role, not in the sense of like executive assistant, but like the person that executes the meeting agenda and like the rules for how we do the meetings. I thought that was really effective at getting the keeping things on track and avoiding rat holing, and that's something that really helped to get us into a more productive mode of interaction. So I thought that was something that worked very well. After we kind of got over the hump and learned to like internalize that methodology of having meetings, it's kind of like there have been some meetings where we stuck to it very closely and other meetings that were looser, but overall I think it pushed the group in the right direction, even if we don't always like execute really closely to the like following all the rules of it. Like people can interject still sometimes and the meeting stays on track. So in short, I thought that was a good influence on the group in time.
Alrighty. Row 14, looks like this is the final one. Flurry of new people. Anyone want to clarify there?
Yeah, so that was mine. Just wanted to say that I'm happy to see all the influx of new people we're getting. There were definitely times when it felt like we were slowing down a little and people were getting pulled off in other directions, doing other things. I'm very guilty of that myself, and I keep getting pulled off in other activities, so I'm not as active as I'd like to be. But I'm now seeing a ton of newer people showing up to the group and participating quite actively, and I think that's really great and awesome to see.
Awesome. We've got a late comer. Row 14, I like the new plus hand format. Anyone want to clarify there?
I think that was accidentally me. That was just, it was essentially whatever Paul said earlier about the organization of the meeting. I think I didn't click off of the box and it didn't write that. So sorry. I'll make sure to click off of it next time.
No worries.
So I think I might have overwrote something. Sorry.
We will leave it in there. No worries. Did anyone add something that they don't see now? Going once?
Holy crap, my flurry one just vanished again. Holy, that is so funny.
That was Morgan.
Oh, okay.
Doug, put yours in row 15.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
sorry. I don't know. I'm not used to using this in like multiple people at the same time. It looks like there's no locking of the boxes or something. So
There is not.
It's just amusing. It's okay.
it's
All right.
hilarious.
So now that we've got all these pretty well explained, we are not going to merge them. It sounds like they all have their little sort of differences here. I'd like to leave those as separate. What we are going to vote. So the way that voting is going to work, obviously this is not as effective for voting as Trello would have been or something else. What we're going to do is please put your +1 in its own row. Don't combine rows. Don't do +2 or anything like that. Put your +1 in its own row and then click off the row, just like Morgan was saying. If you overwrite someone's or you get overwritten, just be vigilant. Try to put it in the next row. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but we'll get it done. We're all smart. Everyone is on the honor system as well to do 3 votes. This means you, Paul. 3 votes. Up to 3 votes. You can vote less, of course, if you want to as well. So again, +1 in its own row, 3 votes. Starting now, we're going to take about 5 minutes. So go to
Aaron, Aaron, you keep saying row. Do you mean column?
Nope, I mean row. So under the votes column, put your +1 in its own row.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
They're each on different rows.
I'm
Already.
sorry. Yes, I do. I apologize.
Okay. Okay.
Own column starting in the votes column.
I'm trying to follow the rules here. I really am. I'm trying to follow them.
Yeah, my bad, guys. So +1 in its own column, starting in the votes column, going right for that row.
Oh.
Don't have to put your name, Doug.
Well, I want to make sure no one else grabs it because apparently Morgan will grab mine if I'm not careful.
Okay. Sorry, guys. It's been a long weekend.
Someone has just stuck a vote in my column on row 5, but it was not me.
All right. Whoever did that, please remove it.
This is hilarious.
Yeah, this
We're
isn't the
following
game.
2 rules.
Yeah, this is what happens when, Trello doesn't work for me. Sorry, everyone.
See,
We're all smart. We'll figure it out.
Putting your name on top
F and G appear to be open.
Putting your name on top wasn't such a bad idea now, was it?
It was not a bad idea. See, we're all smart. We'll figure it out.
Whoever is the anonymous monkey. Okay, there we go. All right.
Kibbles is are you anonymous yet? No, that's
How do you figure out what you are?
well, click a thing and then no wait, that doesn't work.
Yeah, I'm confused.
There's too many people here. Oh, an anonymous Nyan Cat's gone. Darn. It's the best one.
Okay. Looks like Paul, Kibbles, Doug, Vile, whoever is in column H, you guys look like you're all done. Who is not done voting? I know there are some people. All right, if you don't respond, then you will not be counted in the democratic process. All right. All right, another item. Who put +1s under column B? Can you speak up if you did?
Yeah, I
Right.
did, but not all of them. So I just
All
left them
right.
there. So whatever.
Yeah, this is because I said it wrong. I messed up the description.
Yeah,
Apologies.
if you want to delete those, I'll re-add mine. I don't
Yeah,
know.
so I'm going to create columns for you. Jay, you'll be in column K. Scott, you'll be in column L.
Really? You're not going to put J in column J? Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. Apologies.
Wow.
Speak up. Also, if you also put votes in column B, please speak up. I'm going to delete all of them right now. Jay and Scott, as you're doing already, put your votes in K and L respectively, please. Okay. It looks like everyone has voted. Has anybody not voted that wants to vote? Please speak up now or put a plus hand in the chat. Going once. Alrighty. Now to count. I'm going to put the totals in column B. Looks like we've got 2 total votes for face-to-faces were awesome. 3 total votes for predefined agenda. 1 total vote for design meetings help to establish complex topic or establish consensus, excuse me. 3 total for design discussions on a daily basis. 1 total for our pace. 1 total for user feedback. 2 total weekly and daily design calls were productive. Nothing for meeting history, nothing for code reviews. 1 for face-to-faces were helpful. 1 for despite everyone being remote. 3 for meeting secretary. 3 for the new plus hand format. And 0 for a flurry of new people. Anyone find any errors in my math?
Nope, that matches what I calculated in column T for total.
Column T. Wow. I see. Why didn't you tell me, Morgan? I had to scroll right.
Just I wanted to give everybody enough room.
I appreciate that. Okay, so we've got 3 tied for first. We've got row 3, predefined agenda before each meeting helps focus our discussions. I'm going to bold those. Meeting secretary role was useful, also tied for first. And the new plus hand format, also tied for first. Oh, looks like
I think those are like the same thing, right?
looks like we also have design discussions on a daily basis. We're quite efficient. We've got 4 that are tied for first. Paul, to your point, row 13 and row 14 are pretty similar. Does anyone disagree with merging those?
Doug might, because he's got 2 votes.
That's fine. I don't care.
Okay.
I thought they were sufficiently different. I thought one was, the secretary role was ensuring that notes were taken, the agenda was up to date, that kind of thing, versus the voting format. I thought they were significantly different.
Okay. Any objections to keeping them apart for clarity? Going once.
I don't understand the hand format.
All right. I came up with it, so why don't I very briefly describe it to you, Scott, in front of everyone so that people can correct me if their interpretation was wrong. If their interpretation of it is different than mine, not wrong, pardon me. So what we do is a speaker queue. We've done this for a couple months or so in our design meetings. Generally speaking, the person someone will write something down in our agenda. When we first started this, I was the sort of meeting secretary. Other meeting secretaries have stepped in as well. The meeting secretary will introduce the topic. We'll give time for the person who wrote it down to explain it. And discussion then will start. And the way that the discussion works is generally The person, if someone wants to say something, respond to a question, make a comment, so forth, they'll put this plus hand comment into the chat. And then the meeting administrator / secretary will just maintain a queue of the people who put plus hand, and essentially will call on someone, the next person in the queue. Does that make some sense? Okay, anyone disagree with me? Is that what everyone else has seen? Okay.
That's pretty much concise description, yeah.
Yeah, what Doug said as well. It's a way of raising your hand in order, having a queue.
There's no website that does that.
Oh, there is. Aaron
There are
refuses to
plenty.
use it. I pointed Aaron to one, but he doesn't like it.
I have an offline version of it.
There you go. Old
This is
school.
my high-tech tooling.
I like seeing him hold up the pen and paper every time. I really
Yes.
like that.
Every time. It's wonderful.
He does
Yeah.
do it every time. It's
I
great.
know. It's great.
Good, yeah. So I am going to keep those separate. It didn't sound like we had any objection to keeping these separately. We also have design discussions on a daily basis. We're quite efficient. And predefined agenda before each meeting to help focus our discussions. It sounds to me like those are significantly different, or at least different enough to keep separate. Does anybody disagree with that statement? Going once. All right. So we've got these four. These are very strong indicators to keep doing these things. Since we've got four tied for first place, generally speaking, it's probably not a good idea to go to second place because this is a lot of things to consider. Does anybody have a second place item that they want to call out? Going once. All right. So I will record these four items in the meeting notes / agenda document so that we all know that this happened, know that what the vote resulted in. I will do that as Paul. I'm going to send it back to you to talk about ODOT2 prioritization. And I'll do that while you speak. Back to
I'm
you.
sorry, what was that?
So it sounded like you had some more to say about ODOT2.0 prioritization. Is that correct?
I was just going to briefly say that I think that we should consider what we think the priorities for new features and other changes in ODOT 2.0 should be, and that we should come to the face-to-face in November in Raleigh with being prepared to talk about those, and also know the capacity of our own organizations to staff the ones that we think are important. That's pretty much what I wanted to say. That's all.
All right. Sorry, I was just writing down the top four things. So we are now going to go over to what could have been better. Thank you to Doug for calling that out. I apologize for forgetting that. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to take about 5 minutes for everyone to write in up to 3 items they think could have been better. And then we're going to go do the same kind of voting process. So please go ahead and write in your items that you think could have been better.
Can whoever added that first one shorten it just a little? Not an entire paragraph and pushes everything off the screen?
How small is your screen, Doug?
I'm on a Mac. I'm on a 13-inch Mac, so there you go.
Doug is mobile.
Very mobile.
Don't you mean ThinkPad?
I wish I was on a ThinkPad, but they don't make them quite as this form factor. I miss my little track point and the little eraser head thing. I love that.
Did you get one of those carbon things? Isn't small enough for you?
It just the Mac feels nicer to me. But yeah, the X1 carbons are pretty darn close. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna give it a couple more minutes. We're gonna give it 1 more minute actually. So get your items in as fast as you can. About done here. All righty. We are going to go through these a lot more quickly because we've got about 16 minutes left. So we're going to go through explanations. Please try to keep them as concise as possible. Row number 2, daily design meetings. Anyone want to clarify there?
Yeah, so I added that one. So here's the counterpoint to the fact that like the design meetings they definitely helped us to work together as a group and to get over the hump on some things. The downside is that they're really expensive. So like, for example, we have in this meeting right now, as far as I can tell, we have 10 people. So that means that this meeting costs 10 person hours. And if you think about having one of those 4 times a week, that means we're spending 40 person hours a week at some point in this group on design meetings. And that doesn't even count like the prep time and then the follow-up time for action items. So I don't know, I'm not trying to cast a like blanket indictment over them. Like I said before, I think they were very effective. I don't always think that they're an efficient way to do work. And for me personally, I think that probably we should try to be judicious in the future about what we think actually requires one of those meetings. I think that probably that should be easy to do since we've gotten a lot of the broad strokes in, and I don't see there being like a lot of things that are going to affect fundamentally the system, like these different things that we had to work through on. But like I was saying earlier, locally they're efficient and effective. When you have to do them for everything, they start getting kind of expensive from a people standpoint. EOF.
Cool. Row 3, design discussions and the design doctrine of Cates. Any clarifications there? Going once?
Sorry, that was me. So what I mean by that is like there were certain of the things that we had to get consensus on that like took an incredible amount of time because there is nowhere yet that really tells the story of what the Kubernetes design doctrine is. When I say doctrine, just to level set on what that means, like in military academies, when they teach like battle doctrine, doctrine is not a set of hard rules. It's a way to think about how to do things. So like design doctrine refers to thinking the Kubernetes way. And I think that is not, that is something that's like not an issue with this group. It's something that I think that we should try to fix because we've uncovered a lot of things in the process of doing this work. But especially when we started out, there were a lot of things that we went around and around about what's the Kubernetes way, when if we had something that explained coherent thought process and what the doctrine is for how to think about things, it would have been a lot easier. Excuse me.
All right. Row 4, code reviews were inconsistent in time. Anyone want to add to that quickly?
You seem to have to say something all the time to get people to review code, and people don't just go review code. I don't know why.
Okay. Cool. Row 5, lengthy design conversations after initial consensus at face-to-faces. Any quick remarks there?
Yeah, so that was my last one. What I was referring to is like we had a very effective face-to-face in Seattle where we kind of like got the broad strokes painted on the wall for like what 5 or 6 different design issues were going to be resolved as. We still wound up having to have like a lot of design conversation after that. That it does make me wonder, should we have done something differently in the face-to-face to narrow the parameters of what still had to be discussed? Should we have reserved more time to get into detail in the face-to-face so that we could have produced like specifics for the API changes that we were going to make? It did feel to me like it was a very effective meeting, but then we did have to have like a substantial amount of discussion and discussion on the design. So that's it.
All right. So we've got, it looks somewhere over 10 more items to get through remarks. So we're going to do as much as that as possible, but we probably will have to do a vote next design meeting, just so everybody knows. I'm not going to make people go over. So with that, let's continue to row number 6, more interop testing before beta with existing brokers. Any remarks there?
Yeah, it's just I would have liked to have seen more of that happen because I know we obviously have a lot of test cases that did a lot of good work, but I don't have a whole lot of confidence that we'll work successfully with existing brokers, and especially with beta being a lockdown of the API set. I'm terrified that once we start putting this thing in real production with existing brokers, things are going to change, and I would have liked to have had a warmer, comfier feeling before we go to beta.
Okay. Row 7, task organization and pace inconsistencies. And the mad dash. Any remarks there to add to that?
Yeah. So I feel like the month and a half or so before we had initially set our beta release at the end of September, we weren't doing a great job of assigning tasks and making planning things so that we would be able to hit our beta timeline. And so it was about 2 weeks before the beta when we really started to ramp up everything. But I felt like it's nice that we had that pace at the end, but I felt like it was a very stressful pace when we could have had a lot more consistent pace over time had we just given out tasks effectively beforehand.
Okay. Cool. Row 8, controller code is long and duplicated, hard to reason about over time. Paul, I'd like to not riff on this because we've got 9 minutes left. I want to get through all the explanations so that people can vote after the meeting, and then we can move on to improvements next time. So row 8, controller code is long and duplicated. Any additional remarks there? Going once. All righty. Row 9, focus on code quality and testability. Remarks on that? Going once. Okay. Row 10, we need more people to code review and approve.
Dupe of 4.
Sorry?
Dupe of 4.
Dupe of 4. It's a little different.
Yeah, it's different. That's one way to solve it, right? But that might not be the problem.
Okay, so going once for remarks there. Okay. Row number 11, tighter feedback loop with OSB. Remarks on that? Going once. All right. Row 12, unnecessary renames. Any remarks there? Going once.
Self-efficient. There was a lot of things we were doing with renames and everything else very late in the game, and part of it kind of ties into the maybe item number 3, but there was a lot of unnecessary code shuffling very late in the game.
Okay. Row number 13, code got very long, hard to test. Any remarks there?
No, I think that is basically a duplicate of whatever the control code. It's a dupe of number 8, so I can remove that. But
all right.
But I want to add some more O's to the row 8.
Okay. That seems fine. We're on to row number 14. Some code got in very fast, some not so fast. It was unclear what the criteria was. Any remarks there, expanding on that, details, etc.?
No, I just felt like sometimes there was some code that was not necessarily listed as the requirement for like the beta or something like that, but then there was a need for it to get kind of shoved in a hurry sometimes, and some other things were kind of left out, like, well, we'll push this back later, and the criteria wasn't always clear.
Okay. Row number 14, random cancellation of meetings at the very last second or after they've started. Any remarks there? Going once. Okay. Row 15, at times felt a bit too date driven. Any remarks there?
Other than that's related to the previous one that has now vanished of mine, the beta testing. I'll add that one back in, but it's related to that. I would have preferred to have more time to do testing, and because we were so date driven at the time, I didn't feel like we had time to do that.
Okay. Doug, had we covered yours that just disappeared?
Yeah, it was the interrupt testing.
Got it.
With the existing brokers.
Okay.
Row 7.
Got it.
Oh, you're right. Never mind. I'm sorry. Thank you.
All right. So on to row number 7, now 16.
Yeah, 16 and 17 are both dupes. You can skip those.
Both dupes. Okay. What are they dupes of? Just to make sure we all know.
16 is a dupe of 4, and 17 would be a dupe of the one that has a lot of O's.
8.
Gotcha. All right. I will delete rows 16 and 17 then. Okay. We have 5 minutes left. I would like to ask people to start the vote, but we will not review the votes until next meeting because we'll need that time to go over what we can do to improve. So please, everyone, start the votes now, and I will hopefully be able to get to summing them up by the end of this meeting. Okay. Looks like we're almost there. Looks like Matthew, you've got one more vote. Does anybody else want to vote that has not voted? Speak up, please.
Morgan, you said you voted. Where did you vote? Oh, you're off in your own La La Land. Are you L?
La La Land, indeed.
Hold on.
Okay.
You're making it more challenging than it needs to be, Morgan. Hold on.
What are you talking about? It's all added up.
Yeah. But there was a column with your name on it, so there you go.
No, I
right.
don't like my name on things.
So please speak up if you have not voted yet. This is the last chance. Okay. So we've got a first. It looks like we've got a first and a tie for second. The first place is controller code is very long with a bunch of O's. Tied for second, looks like a three-way tie. Some code got in very fast. I'm gonna italicize that. More interop testing before beta, also italicized as tied for second. And focus on code quality and testability. So I will record these in the meeting notes for today. And in our next meeting, I'll put in an item on the agenda to go over improvements as a reaction to this vote. That's all that I had for today. Paul, I'll turn it back to you if you have anything else.
No, that's it for me. I do enjoy the fact that the thing that people say is like the number one thing with a bullet that we're mad about as a group is something that I insisted that we do. But we can talk about that next time.
Okay. With 1 minute left, we will, I guess that's it for today. So like I said, I'll update the agendas for next time. And with that, see everyone next time.
All right. Thanks a lot for leading that, Aaron.
Sure.
All righty. See you, everybody.